Hey, Disgruntled. We have another guest, Logan Hess, and we're just going to be talking football, and we're going to be talking a little bit of golf. He golfs at RMU, and so we're going to be talking a little bit about that and a little bit about the entire Eagles situation at hand. So let's get this started, I guess. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Logan. I'm a good friend of Caleb's, a sophomore sports management major here at Robert Morris in Pittsburgh. So, other side of the state from Caleb. And yeah, I'm on the golf team here. And
Um,
big Eagles fan.
Go Birds. How
Yeah.
how and when did you get into golf?
Um, I've been playing my whole life. So I would say I got serious about it when I was like 10. And it was because my dad played. So when I was like 10, I started playing in like tournaments and stuff, started to get serious about it. And then once I was like 13, 14, maybe 15, started to get into like the college recruitment process and playing in big stuff and like traveling. Like I played all over the country. I've played in the Dominican Republic already in tournaments. I've been all over the place. And then now, yeah, being in college here on a scholarship was the goal. So that's really nice.
How was it like playing in the Dominican Republic?
It was super nice because it was like April and back home it was super cold, and then flying down there it was, oh my god, I was there for like a week. It was so nice. It was kind of weird. I'd never been out of the country before,
Mm.
and that was only the second time I'd been on a plane, which was kind of weird. But going down there, playing in a big event, um, at a course that the PGA Tour plays every single year, which was super nice. So the course was awesome. I didn't play very well, but I mean, it was still a really good vacation for the week. So yeah, it was great.
That sounds like they were a lot of fun. What was, I guess, like your favorite moment of that?
I think when we arrived there on the plane, like I said, I'd never been out of the country before. So I had obviously planned that trip for a long time in advance. And when I got off the plane at the airport, I went to Punta Cana, Republic, and where the airport there was insane. Like it's just I had never even been to Florida or anything like any place like tropical at all. So just walking off the plane into that airport, just completely different weather, and then getting out of the airport and driving through the country was super super nice, and I loved that a lot. And then obviously going through the week, getting to the course and everything was great, and playing.
That sounds awesome. Who is your favorite golfer currently and then all time?
When you sent me this, I had to think about this for a long time. I think currently I would either say Xander Schauffele, which we posted about on the Disgruntled Instagram. I like him a lot, and then I like Tiger Woods a lot too. I mean, there's a lot of news going on around with him right now. I'm assuming you've heard about it,
Yeah.
his car accident.
Wait, I didn't actually hear about that. What happened?
So I think it was 2 days ago now. It might have been yesterday actually. He just had another back surgery like a month or two ago, so he hasn't been playing. He's been hosting a lot of events because he's like a big sponsor of a lot of these PGA Tour events.
Mm.
So he's taken a couple of months off, and he was in California, and he just got in a really bad single car accident, and he like fractured his right ankle. Had a what's the injury Dak got?
Oh crap, I forget.
But
Uh,
yeah, it's a compound fracture or something like that.
okay.
He got that in his right leg. He had to get a bunch of rods and screws into his legs. He's still in the hospital. He just got out of surgery, I think like last night. So he's might not ever play again.
Dang, that's crazy. And he got
Hmm.
like injured too earlier in his career, didn't he? At some
He,
point.
yeah, he's had so many back problems, knee injuries. Um, yeah, he really doesn't play that much anymore, but it might be completely over now. So yeah, I'd say those two are my favorite. If you even count Tiger as a current player, like he's pretty old now.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Xander, I love Xander a lot. Young guy, really really good, top 10 in the world, really good guy. And then my favorite player of all time. I mean, you guys probably not going to have any idea. His name's Stuart Appleby. He's high 40 something. He doesn't play anymore. He used to be really really good. He's from Australia. He's just a really really funny guy, really good player. The couple like PJ Tour events that I've actually gone and watched, gotten the chance to follow him, and like he would like go out of his way to like talk with people in the crowd. He like talked to me and my dad while we were there. Super
Well,
chill
that's
guy.
awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool. I wish he still played, but he might take a run at the Champions Tour. I'm not sure. He's into announcing now. So
How long did he play golf for?
uh well, I'm not exactly sure. I think he probably turned pro when he was like 20, 21, and he played, I would say, 25 years. Like he technically isn't like retired, but he just doesn't. He
Yeah,
knows he's getting older. He's not as good anymore. He can't really compete with the young guys, so he doesn't really play.
that makes sense.
A really long career still, though.
When I was growing up and stuff, my dad and I got into golf a little bit, but it wasn't like anything major. It was just like going to the driving range and or playing 9 or 18 holes like a couple Sundays out of the year. But
Right?
like
Yeah.
I just remember watching golf with my dad too and watching Tiger and stuff and then like early in his career too and just like
Mhm.
watching him play, it's like crazy because like he's one of the best players, if not the best player in golf and probably one of the best like athletes
Mhm.
in all of sports because like when you think of like sports you think like Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, like he's up there with one of the greats. So it's
Right.
like it's awesome that we're getting to see like all of these players play now while we're like still young and actually be able to watch it, whereas like we didn't get to watch like some of the like we didn't get to watch like Joe Montana. What's that one golf crap, I forget that one golfer.
Jack Nicklaus
Yeah, I
or
mean
Arnold Palmer, one of the two.
yeah. Either or, but like I guess the first guy that you said, I already forget his name.
Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, Jack Nicklaus. I guess that doesn't he still play a little bit still, or is he like fully retired?
I mean, he's like 90, so he
Okay,
does like
never mind.
he does charity stuff. Like he
Okay,
every once in a while he doesn't like play rounds of golf anymore. He just every once in a while if his company sponsors a tournament, he'll come out and hit a shot or something like that. Yeah, he's super old, so no.
yeah. Wait, I may have been thinking of someone else, but I forget who it is. He's still like plays, but he's like super old, and I think he played like alongside Tiger at one point. I forget what his name is.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Okay.
There's so many of
Yeah,
them.
it's cool to see that we're seeing like these all-time like great players in all of sports like playing all at once while we still can like enjoy it.
It's gonna
Um,
be crazy when you can't see them anymore.
yeah, it's gonna
I
be
can't imagine an NFL without Tom Brady.
yeah, it's gonna be weird because it's like he's the face of football, and it's just like it's gonna be weird. And they're
Mhm.
all like
Right.
getting older up there as well.
Yeah. It's coming, but I can't imagine without him. But it's gonna be someday soon.
Yeah. How is it like playing golf at RMU?
It's good. I mean, it's obviously it's very busy, very serious. I mean, we're a smaller market Division 1 sports program. I mean, we travel. I mean, when our season, because we play in the fall and the spring. So when we actually have like qualifying, practicing, traveling, all that stuff, it's very, very busy with all my classes, and then practice and everything else that goes into golf, like team meetings, workouts. We work out 3 days a week. I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I love it all. It's just very busy. You know, the average college life is busy enough, and then throwing on a Division 1 sport, I think it's very. You have a lot of stuff on your plate, but I love it a lot. I'm very thankful to be here and traveling with the team and competing for national championship is it's awesome. And to say I've gotten here is great. So
That's
yeah, I
all.
love it.
How do you like balance like college work and playing golf with? Because it sounds like from what you just said and from like when we talked previously, like playing video games and stuff, it seems like you're always like golfing and stuff. And then how do you like kind of balance that plus like on top of all the college work?
Me personally, I'm really good at like prioritizing things. So before I really do anything, I always make sure my schoolwork's done. I mean, I'm only a sophomore, so my classes so far, I've had some tough classes, but nothing crazy. I'm sure once I get to a senior, it's going to be completely different.
Yeah.
But now I just make sure that I mean, obviously, the we must have practice every day. We usually have like 1 day a week we don't have practice,
Mhm.
and when we're in season, that's for like 4 hours a day. Now it's only 2 hours a day at the most. So I just make sure I get all my schoolwork done, go to practice, and then usually that leaves, sometimes I get to play Xbox, sometimes I don't, which sucks,
Yeah.
but it's college. So yeah, I'm just really good at keeping a schedule and getting my stuff done. So that's how I do it.
It seems like you're really in tune on like getting everything done and stuff. Um, what is it like playing golf in high school comparatively to college?
It's a lot more serious. I mean, Pennsylvania isn't anything crazy for high school golf. Where we went to high school, like I was the best one. Like not to bloat, but like I was the best one on the team. Like didn't have to even like show up to like qualify or try out for the team, like because I was like I didn't have to worry about it. And then going into college, like you're all of a sudden not the best one anymore. Everyone's just like you, which is it's a little stressful when you try to like travel, especially because our team's big this year. Usually a college golf team's like 9, 10 people. We have 13.
Oh dang.
And only 6 travel. So over half the team is just sitting back practicing while the starters are traveling. So knowing that everyone's just like you and they're really good can be stressful when it comes to that. But also practicing and playing, like our team's all really close. So practicing and playing and living, we all live together. Most of us practicing and playing together with people that are really good gets you a lot better. Like we've all improved since we've been here. And then also college, just instead of college compared to high school is obviously very different. You know all about that. A lot more work and responsibilities, everything that goes with that.
I just remember during high school and stuff, I guess Penn Manor didn't really like prioritize golf at all. But I just remember hearing your name called like once in a while if you had like a good performance or whatever. And I just thought it was like really cool because every time like your name popped up, I'm like, I know that guy, like that's my friend.
Right. Yeah. Well, in high school, yeah, we had like a batch every week, and the next morning they would do the announcements for pretty much every sport, not just golf.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy now because like what they would announce, like as like they would be like, oh, Logan Hess led the team with a 72 or whatever. Like they would say in high school over the speakers. Now, if you shoot 72, like that's like not even like the top 5 on the team here. So it's like it's crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
What is your highest or lowest score that you got? Or like best score. Let's say best score.
Best score, yeah. Golf terms.
Yeah.
So
I'm still learning.
For 18 holes, I've got a shot in 65 already back home, which is 7 under. But while I've been out here, I played 9 holes one time last year during practice, and I shot 29, which is 7 under for 9 holes.
Oh wow!
Which was it was insane. I played with 2 of my teammates, and yeah, it was insane. You know, never hear that.
Yeah,
it was awesome. It was so much fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I wish I could do it again.
Imagine if you did that in the tournament, everyone would be geeking, or like a actual like yeah.
Everyone would be scared.
I'd
win. I guarantee that.
Yeah.
No, what else is going on shooting 29?
Do you follow any other sports like besides football and golf? And then if so, like what are your favorite teams?
I wish I did, but honestly, like not really. I'm trying to get more into basketball and hockey. And if I was to say my favorite teams, I think I would stick with the Philly teams right now. I'm trying to get more into it, but as you know, I'm really into both golf and football, so that takes up a lot of my time. And I follow like a lot of like the NBA account on Instagram and everything. I see all the news. Like I know Joel Embiid is having a great year and everything, and I know the Sixers are doing really good. Yeah, I wish I was more into it. I'm gonna try to get more into it for sure because I love sports in general, and I'm a sports management major, so I've been learning a lot about like all the sports, like as a sport itself and like the business side. So it's been interesting. I like all of them. I just don't sit down and follow them, you know?
Yeah, that's like exactly like me. Like at least you have like golf that you're like invested in as well. Cause I feel like I'm just like solely invested into football and I don't like know much information about like other sports. Like I know like the common things about each sport or whatever. And then like I know what teams are doing well and stuff. But like that's one of my things that I want to try to get like more into, like because I want to get more into basketball and hockey because like all the Philly teams are doing really good right now, and it seems like the Eagles are on the downtrend. But yeah.
Yeah, being just a football fan, especially an Eagles football fan, is pretty rough right now.
Yeah, because like I want to see like other teams succeed because I feel like the Eagles are on the downtrend right now. Um,
Right.
but how is it how is it like being a sports management major?
It's cool. I like it a lot so far. I haven't taken just because I'm a sophomore. Most of the sports management specific classes come junior and senior year, so I haven't taken too many of them yet. I have right now. I have sport marketing, which is really interesting. Like every class that I go to that's actually sport management, I
Oh,
go to and I like actually enjoy like learning and listening,
mhm.
which is good. It shows that it's the right major for me. Or there's a lot of really good professors here, and then being in Pittsburgh, we get a lot of guests in our class that are really important. Like Pittsburgh's such a big sport market.
Mhm.
I like it a lot, and I'm looking forward to next semester and the semesters after too, just for more of the sport management classes that pop up on my schedule.
Mhm.
And I'm probably going to stay for my 5th year because of COVID. We got our extra year of eligibility,
Yeah,
so I'm probably going to stay an extra year and get my master's in it now. So which is good.
oh, that's really cool.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I was just going to ask one last question before we transition into this whole Eagles fiasco. How has COVID affected, I guess, the being on the golf team and traveling and like actually playing golf, and then I guess like college as a whole?
Well, I mean, it's obviously affected us a lot. We like when COVID first hit, it was last March. I think it was like the end of March.
Yeah.
Me and the rest of the starters on the team were actually in Florida for spring break playing in a tournament. And they got like other teams we were playing with, like we had no clue, but the guys we were playing with from like other schools all across the US, they were just like telling us like, wow, our school just canceled the rest of the semester of classes. And we were like, why? And they were like, because of this coronavirus. And we were like, oh, well, dang. And that our school didn't say anything about it. And then we flying back,
Mhm.
we were on the plane flying back. Our school canceled the rest of the semester. So when we got back, we had to pack up and leave, just like all the other schools did, like you did too.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's pushed us to online classes, which is obviously different. I don't mind them that much. I mean, it's nice you don't have to walk to class, right?
Yeah, it is nice.
um, and then this semester, like school was canceled the rest of the year, and then we obviously couldn't play. So the rest of the season, golf season was canceled. Then summer, and then this semester, well, last semester, we weren't allowed to travel for
Mhm.
golf or any of the sports, just because we're such a small market. You know, like the Clemsons and the Alabamas, like they all played because there's so much money involved. With us, there's not billions of dollars because for on TV being lost, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so we didn't play. We practiced every single day pretty much as a team.
Mhm.
We all came back to campus. Our classes are in person last semester and still are,
Mhm.
which is nice. We actually got to come back and kind of feel like we're in college still. We do half virtual, we call them virtual rotation. So our classes are one day, they'll be you'll be online, and the other half of your class will be in person, and then it switches every other day. So you're only with half your class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're still in person every other day. So
Okay. Do you have to get like regular COVID testing since you're like on the team, or is it
mhm.
okay?
So we had to get tested when we move on campus both semesters. Then usually we get tested like first semester it wasn't as much because it was random. So I think I got tested three times last semester. But
Mhm.
since I've been here, um, we got tested when we moved in, and then one of our roommates tested positive. Actually, I never tested positive. He was the only one that did, but we got put in the quarantine
Mhm.
for 2 weeks, so we couldn't leave. Then we got tested twice while we were in quarantine. We all tested negative both times. I've gotten tested twice since I've been out of quarantine, so that's five, and then tested 5 times since I've gotten back in end of the beginning of January.
That's crazy.
Well,
That's
yeah,
time.
semester's flying, but yeah, we've got tested a lot this semester, and that's mostly because we actually are traveling
Okay.
instead. Like our sports are actually playing
Mhm.
now. I mean, with the golf team doesn't. Our first tournament's in a little less than a month now. But yeah, they're really keeping it locked down with getting tested, making sure everyone's being safe now that our season's actually started. So yeah.
That's awesome that you're actually like being able to actually start the golf season and stuff. I don't play a sport at college, so I can't really like relate to like traveling with a team and all that. In March, when it like the first news broke, it was crazy in Philadelphia because everyone was talking about it. Like you could walk 2 feet outside and everyone's just like you can like overhear conversations about it's like, did you hear about COVID? Like,
Mhm.
are they going to like cancel like the rest of the semester and stuff, or like what's going on? And like everyone was in a frenzy. So it was kind of crazy from that transition into like being virtual and then like how are you going to
Mhm.
adapt to the new semester and stuff because originally Temple was going to do like try to do the half in person half online ordeal, but then the COVID numbers spiked from like 50 cases to like 300 cases in like 2 weeks from like doing that, so they're like we're not doing this anymore. They sent like
Right.
everyone home, and then so it was just like a clusterfuck, but now they're trying to do it again this year and it's like successfully working. I think it's not as many in-person classes as they originally had to start the fall semester,
Mhm.
but the cases are only at like 50 to 60 right now. If you do have like an in-person class, you have to get tested like twice a week. Yeah, and that's not even like including like if you're on a sports team or anything. That's just like if you have like a regular in-person class. And I think it's because there's like 40,000 students in like one small area because it only takes like 10 minutes to walk across campus. So it's
Mhm.
like a lot of people in one small area. So it's like they have to kind of like keep testing and make sure everyone like doesn't have it.
Right. Yeah. Being at Temple would be tricky when it comes to that. It being in a city. Like my campus is only 6,000 students, so it's not as bad. Like I'm happy everyone's like the school's taking good precautions for it, but it is nice to not be packed in like sardines like you guys are in the city.
Yeah, but I guess it's like nice out of like any college right now, it's nice and being in Pitt and everything and being like a more wide open campus to play golf and you don't not saying that you don't have to worry, but like not as much as some others.
Yeah. Yeah, right. We're not as stressed about it.
Yeah. I guess let's transition into Eagles talk. Um, what
Oh
made you
boy.
I guess like let's start off a little easy and not getting into the the depressing stuff right away because it's I feel like something about the Eagles comes in like every other week or every like other day. There's always like Eagles news everywhere, but I guess
I call it drama, yeah.
yeah, drama. I guess let's start it off easy. What made you become an Eagles fan, or how did you become an Eagles fan?
Well, it's mostly my family, being from near the Philly area. That was the closest team. So that's, I think, why my family started out being an Eagles fan. Then I just kind of caught on. I started being a fan probably, it was the year before Wentz got drafted. That was like the first year I actually started following.
Mhm.
And then the year Wentz got drafted and the year after that is when I really started following. And now I'm like really into it, watch all their games, watch, watch and read every bit of news that there is, follow along really well. And I'm really into it now. But I would say mostly my dad and my grandpa are both Eagles fans. I'm much more into it than they ever were, but that's how I got started.
Yeah, that's how I got started too, because like my entire family is a huge Eagles fan
Mhm.
or Eagles fans, and I was kind of like birthed into it, and like now, like since like I was born, like I automatically was an Eagles fan just because of the family presence.
Right. Yeah.
And then I guess like what is your favorite Eagles memory? I guess besides the Super Bowl.
Well, that was going to be it. Um, Favorite Eagles memory. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think I remember well last year. I remember being super excited when the Eagles really fought their way back the last couple games to get
Hmm.
into the playoffs. Well, not this past season, the year before.
Hmm.
Um, to get into the playoffs, I remember being really hype about that. And then Wentz being like basically carrying the team. was super exciting because everyone was hurt, and then
Yeah.
obviously the playoff game, him getting the concussion was the worst because who knows what would have happened if he didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
I that entire that last month of the regular season, I remember that I liked that a lot. Even the season before that too was kind of the same thing where they had to really fight toward the end to get to 9-7 and get in. Both of those were really exciting.
Yeah, I feel like it's always coming down to the wire with the Eagles, no matter
Mm-hmm.
I guess the Super Bowl year is the really only year where we didn't really have to worry about coming close to anything because we're just sweeping away everyone.
Right. Yeah, that entire season was obviously my favorite, but you said I couldn't pick that, so
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just feel like that's everyone's favorite memory because it's mine because it's obviously the first Super Bowl,
Mhm.
and I just like asking fans what's their favorite memory because it's kind of interesting to see what they pinpoint besides the
Mhm.
Super Bowl. And yeah, last year or 2 years ago when they lost to the Seahawks, that was a really fun year to play or to watch because it's it caught fire. I thought that the season was over, but then they
Mhm.
caught fire thanks to division and made it in. And I actually went to the Seahawks game and the
Saw that
playoff.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just so sad. I just I did not talk to my dad on the way home because because he drove us up there and we both went and I just the entire car ride was basically silent.
Right. It was so disappointing.
Yeah. We
What
were
a way to end.
we were cussing out the Eagles and stuff. But I
That
guess
happens a lot these days. Yeah.
I guess that's a good transition to what do you think of this entire Eagles fiasco right now? It's kind of an end of an era. I guess let's start with what do you think of your thoughts on the coaching staff?
Like I said, I think there's so much drama. It's all so unnecessary. I mean that even this past year, just because of COVID, it was obviously very different for everybody. There's a lot of different excuses when it comes to that, no training camp, all that stuff. They couldn't prep for the season like they usually do because the Eagles were projected to do well this year,
Mhm.
obviously, and then they weren't. Um, and I know the coaching staff is has a lot to people are blaming them a lot for it, especially Doug. In my opinion, I don't think Doug should have been fired. I mean, I get why, but just because of this past year, I wouldn't have fired him personally because I before the season started on the Disgruntled Instagram, I remember sharing a post that Colin Cowherd made on his show. It was a ranking of the best coaches that he would start a franchise under, and Peterson was the third one.
Oh
It was
wow.
the number
Yeah.
three. It was one of his favorite ones, and I was well, what happened to that? It was just a bad year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and then he also did a list of best coaches and QB duos that he would start a franchise with. And again, Doug and Carson were both one of his favorites. I think they were in the top three as well. And now they're both not playing for the Eagles anymore. So like, what happened? I don't think a fresh start's a bad idea just because of how disappointing last year was. When it comes to coaching, the new coaches, I don't mind. I like what I've heard from all of them so far. I'm excited to see what they do. But like I said, I don't know if I agree with all the firing that happened this year.
Yeah, I agree with you because I feel like Doug Peterson should have. Now, granted, he did have a very bad year. It was terrible, but I agree with you. We should have gave him at least one more year, just
Mm-hmm.
to I guess a prove it deal, and if he makes it into the playoffs, or just to see what how he performs next year to really base if he should get fired or continue on his team or continue coaching on this team. I don't think we should have fired him after this year because, like you said, he's with Colin,
Yeah,
Cowherd. Wait, fuck,
Coward. Yeah, however
Cal
you say it.
Cowherd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so bad at pronouncing names. I need to get better. But Doug Peterson is a really good court or coach, and he's made it to the playoffs 3 out of the last 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And that's pretty impressive, especially in this age. Most coaches can't even make the playoffs with like 3 seasons on a team or 4 seasons, to let
Hmm.
alone to make it 3 out of the 5. That's like a very like hard task to do. And
Hmm.
winning like the freaking like Eagles like first Super Bowl ever, like that should like grant at least like a few more years out of
Right. Yeah.
him, you know? And he only did that like his second season as well, which is the crazy part. But like I agree with you, like there should, I don't know why they fired him. Um the person that they should first fire is Howie Roseman. Because like
I
I feel like he's messing up.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think if anything, like I think this year Peterson really sucked at calling plays.
Hmm.
I don't. If anything, I think they should have brought in an offensive coordinator to replace him for that job. But from everything that we've seen, it seems like he's a really good coach. Just make him just a coach. If anything, that's what I would have done.
Hmm.
Make him just a head coach and don't let him call plays anymore.
And he seemed like, I guess the last game of last or this past season didn't really help his relationship with the players and stuff. But like other than that, and he seemed like he had a really strong bond with all the players and stuff. I mean, there was the rumors about him and Wentz fighting and disagreeing, and Wentz saying that Doug Peterson was the reason why he wants to leave. And then there's like another report where it said that Wentz hasn't talked to Doug Peterson in like 10
Mm-hmm.
weeks. And it's like, I don't know if it's just rumors or if it's actually real, but it just doesn't seem like it's a Doug, or that just doesn't seem like Doug Peterson. And it feels like it's more Howie Roseman than anything. I feel like that's where the issues come from. And because at the beginning of this year, or yeah, before this year started, Ertz and Howie Roseman had like a screaming match like on the practice field and stuff. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
is it mostly because of like Doug Peterson, or is it because of Howie Roseman? Because Doug Peterson fired, so like when should have stayed if that was the case, you know?
Right. And like I can tell you from like things I've learned in sports management and like my classes that one of the things we learn about how important it is media in sport. And I can tell you from what I learned, we have really no clue what was going on in the franchise at all. Like everything that we've heard, it all could be complete lies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sure there's so much more to it than what we know, and I
Mm-hmm.
wish we knew because then we know a lot more. Obviously, maybe figure out what they're doing because it looks bad. Looks really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. I feel like there's a lot of like covering up happening with like stemming from like Jeffrey Lurie and stuff, and I just feel like Howie Roseman is basically like sucking Jeffrey Lurie's like dick, and like I don't even know, because like I don't even know how like Howie Roseman is still on the team. Because I heard on the radio when I was driving and stuff that Howie Roseman like lasted 3 coaches: Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, and then Doug Peterson, without like getting fired. Now he's on
Mm-hmm.
his 4th coach now. So it's like, is he's like the stemming or like consistent piece of the part where it's like bad or whatever. So like
Right.
what are your thoughts on kind of like how this whole entire like Howie Roseman situation?
I mean, like I said, obviously we don't know everything that there is to know about him. From everything that I understand, it seems like he's a really good businessman and is really good with like the money and the contracts and stuff. But he's so hit or miss with drafting. And I mean, yeah, he goes through. I know it's not completely his decision, but like going through coaches like he does, he doesn't seem to really tolerate failure very much.
Mm,
I think they should have gotten a fresh start with him as well. I think they should have brought someone else new in this year instead of firing everyone else. But
mm,
like I said, I get the fresh start, and we'll see if Roseman can turn the team around and do well next year.
mm.
Maybe we'll see what he's really about. Maybe he's a lot. I don't know because he has had a lot of success, but then he's also been awful too at times.
Yeah. I guess it's like hit or miss, but I guess like this coming year is going to be like what you just said, like his truth. And I guess since they didn't fire him, I guess give him like a couple years with a new, like entirely new coaching staff just to see how the Eagles perform and everything.
Right.
But
I think that this year he needs to go out and make some really good decisions and prove that he was the one that should have stayed, you know.
yeah, the thing is that he like tends to pick up older players, which kind of sucks as well, which are constantly getting hurt and then ended up retiring kind of like um I mean, Deshaun Jackson didn't really retire, but he played only 24 out of his 31 games playing for the Eagles, and Alshon Jeffrey is leaving the Eagles. And we cut Deshaun Jackson, but Jeffrey is leaving the Eagles before the season start. What are your thoughts on like that entire situation?
I mean, it was tough to watch this year because they were both hurt, and then when they came back, they weren't fantastic. I think Jackson was decent when he played, but he's just so old now and injury prone. If it was up to me, what I would have done is I would have signed Jackson again and released Alshon. Yeah, I mean he's leaving, so I think they need some veteran guys on the team still, and I think Deshaun Jackson is obviously like one of the best deep threats ever. So
Yeah,
he'd be a great guy to have on the bench to teach these young guys, Jalen Rager, whoever they bring in this year. Um, I understand he's a great leader. So that's what I would have done, even if he doesn't like start, which I mean, I think he still would have. Because I mean, when, like I said, when he did play, he's still quick. He can
yeah,
still catch the ball. He's
yeah,
still pretty good for his age if he just
yeah,
didn't get hurt all the time.
yeah. I think that's one of the disappointing things about him because like he's a fan favorite and personally he's like one of my favorites as well. And it was like when we first got him 2 years ago, or not like once we re-signed him 2 years ago, and then
Mm-hmm.
that first to Washington, and he had like those two deep balls like caught in the game and then won the game. I thought like we were going to the Super Bowl again because like we actually had a deep threat and we still have remnants of the old Super Bowl team, and it was only like a couple years after we won the Super Bowl, so I thought we were going to make like another run for it. But it was kind of disappointing to see that all of his injuries piled up. And yeah, I think we should have signed him for at least one more year because I think we could have gotten him for cheap. And I think he would have re signed really cheap. And we didn't have to do like a major contract. I'm sure he would have just signed like a 1 year deal. And if he
Mm-hmm.
continued to get injured, then he would still have a good presence, at least on the wide receiver squad, like you said. So it was kind of sad to see Jackson to leave again, but the way things it's going, it looks like the Eagles are just cleaning slate.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I agree with one of them leaving. I'm surprised they both are gone now. I'm surprised a lot of the players are gone that are gone, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would have kept D-Jax. So that's what I would have done.
What are your thoughts on Wentz leaving?
Don't even get me started. So I'm a big Carson Wentz fan. As you can see, I'm wearing it AO1. I'm a big Carson Wentz fan. I think it was ridiculous that he got traded. Not only that he got traded, but he got traded for so little. I mean, I might be a little biased, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't give him credit for what he was able to do, especially after this past year when he actually like the stats really showed that he played poorly. Like before that, people were always claiming like, oh, he's not that good, blah blah blah. He doesn't, all the other crap that has been said. But when he was like throwing to literally nobody the past 2 years or the past 3 years, really, because there hasn't been any good receivers really,
Mm-hmm.
and he was still able to get wins. Like that shows he was good. And then this past year was just awful. I'll admit that it was bad.
Yeah.
But I would have given him another year in Philly, especially if I would have known they were only getting a second and a potentially first, or is it a third and potentially first?
Oh, wait, I think it's flip flop. So we get a third this year,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get a second next year, and potentially a first out
Mm-hmm.
of that, depending on
Yeah.
Carson Wentz.
If he plays 70% of snaps, I
Yeah.
think it was. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm still going to be an Eagles fan and everything, but I definitely hope the Colts do well next year now.
Yeah.
I think with the team they have in Indy, I think he'll do a lot better next
Yeah,
year. And I hope he does. I wish he would stayed with the Eagles, but I can't believe he's gone just for how cheap he went.
I agree.
Honestly.
Yeah, I feel like we could have gotten a lot more, but it, it's it's just bad timing because with him signing a new contract that's super expensive and him having a down year, like
Mm-hmm.
first year after signing the contract, it's just teams are going to look at that and saying like it's basically it's a risk, even though I don't think it's a risk. I think Carson Wentz is going to play super well in Indianapolis, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make it deep into a playoff like
Mm-hmm.
championship. I don't know if they can make it to the Super Bowl yet, just depending on just because of the Chiefs and how well they've been playing for the past few years. But one of my roommates is a Colts fan, so he was like all stoked and stuff that he got or the Colts got Wentz for like dirt cheap. And
Right.
originally, when I first heard the news, I thought it was only a third pick. Like we only got a
Mm-hmm.
third pick, and I was like so pissed. I was like cursing up a storm. I was like, how did we only like let Wentz go for a third pick? But then I realized that the second whole situation of the second round pick was thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of made up for a lot better than just a third round pick, but still a shitty deal. Um,
Yeah. I can't believe they settled for that. I saw a post the other day, something about I think it's Brandon Cooks has been traded twice now for 2 first round picks and a second round pick
oh,
in
really?
the like last 5 years. Yeah.
Mhm.
Twice he's been traded twice for 2 first and a second. And that's Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
He's not that great. Like
Yeah.
I mean he's definitely good, but he's not. I would think Carson Wentz just being a quarterback would make him more valuable than that, right? So
Yeah.
I don't get how he went for that cheap. It seems like an absolute awful deal. But I mean, I guess they were determined to get rid of him, so they just went with the Eagles went with what they were getting or what
Dang.
they were offered.
Yeah. I never thought about that, or that never came to my mind with the Brandon Cook situation being compared to Wentz, but that's now looking on it, that just makes the entire Wentz situation that more shitty and stuff.
I'm pretty sure it was Brandon Cooks. It was a running back. I'm pretty sure it's Brandon Cooks, but it's not even just him. It's like a bunch of deals that have been going on recently, like the
Mm,
Matt Stafford one too. Like
yeah.
trading Jared Goff. What was it like a? I know there's a first round pick thrown in there too. I mean, I know Matt Stafford's really good, but so
Yeah.
is Carson Wentz. Like they're both quarterbacks. There's a lot of trade value in them. So
I just don't know what to think of it because we I think it's mostly just Wentz wanting to get the like fuck out of Philadelphia because of his whole situation with Howie Roseman. That probably played a big role in it. But yeah, I think the two offers that like stood out that everyone was kind of talking about before the trade actually happened was the Bears trade with Nick Foles first round, and Cohen, and then whatever the Colts trade was. We didn't really know what the Colts trade entailed until after the trade happened. But would you rather, with those two offers on the table, would you rather take Nick Foles the first round and Cohen, or would you rather take the third and then possibly a third and then a second and but then possibly a first? Which like trade would you take?
the offer was Foles, Cohen, and a first.
Yeah,
I
and
would take
or the and or the Colts deal.
yeah. I would take the Bears in a heartbeat. Honestly, I
Yeah,
mean, personally, like I love Nick Foles a lot too. I know
yeah,
Nick. I know you. I know you like him a lot.
yeah,
I don't. I don't think he. I wish he would be performing a little better.
mm,
Um, like I don't know how well he would fit in Philadelphia anymore,
yeah,
just because of him aging and his last 2 seasons with the Jags and the Bears have not been great.
mhm.
Um, but even still, like having Tariq Cohen, that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah,
Having Cohen and a first rounder, it seems a lot more worth it to me than a third and a second, if you ask me. And then we get Foles, which having him on the team again, even if he doesn't play, is good leadership. And
yeah.
I think him winning the Super Bowl here, obviously, would be a big help.
I saw like a meme a couple weeks ago, but it was like the statue of Doug Peterson and Nick Foles, and it was just
Mm,
like, well, this is kind of awkward now because like they're both like not on the team anymore within
right.
like the last couple years or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy how destructive the Eagles have been after the Super Bowl, because I feel like we had potential 2 years after the Super Bowl with going to the divisional round, but then losing to the Saints, and then going to um first the wild card playoff or wild card weekend, and then losing to the Seahawks. But still, we had potential and a lot of potential, like you said earlier, of this year starting and stuff. But it's kind of, I feel like we still digressed from the Super Bowl, even with making the playoffs a couple years after the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I guess,
And
yeah.
I was just gonna say, like the year after the Super Bowl, the 2 years after when they still made it to the playoffs, I think the biggest issue was injuries.
Mhm.
And then this past year, that was obviously a big part of it. And I think a big reason why Wentz's stats were awful because of his O-line injuries. But this year was a lot more than that. I think pretty much everyone on the team played awful this year. Injuries. I'm anxious to see how the new coaching staff handles injuries. If somehow they all disappear,
Yeah.
who are we going to point fingers at that who was on the Eagles coaching staff that who are we going to blame for the injuries when they were still here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like the Eagles, even in the Super Bowl run and from like the Super Bowl run until now, is plagued with injuries and stuff, and it's sad to see. And it's really affected the team with most of the receivers being injured, and like you said, the offensive line, and that's probably stems from Wentz having stupid stat line that's like awful, and then he's like the most sacked quarterback in the league. Well, not like the most sacks. I think Russell Wilson is the most sacked at 52, but Wentz is at 50. And if Wentz would have played all of the games, he would have been the most sacked quarterback.
Yeah.
He's the most sacked like per game. But it's just, it shows that you need an offensive line, and without an offensive line, you have Wentz, how he would perform and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if somehow the injuries do fix itself next year, I think everyone's going to blame Doug Peterson for the freaking injuries, and or maybe Jim Shorts possibly, but because we've been constantly like changing the offensive coordinator, because since the Super Bowl, we Frank Wright went to the Colts after the Super Bowl. We hired Mike Groh, and then Mike Groh got fired, and we hired a new offensive coordinator for last year. You see how that happened, and we fired him, and we got a new offensive coach. So we had like 4 offensive coaches in the last like 3 years. So it's just crazy.
Right. And just with all the coaching staff being new this year, I feel like if there was anyone if it was anyone's fault, now that there were so many injuries, now that they're not there anymore, I guarantee that because everyone's new, then
Yeah.
that should fix itself, and we'll see. Hopefully, because I think if they stay healthy, I still think they have enough good parts to have a possibly winning record next year.
Yeah.
Maybe, depending on what happens with the QB situation too.
The one sad coach I was really upset about was Jim Shorts, because he was a great defensive coordinator. It's not like we fired him, it was off of his own decision, because he's just taking a year off and he's going to contemplate retirement and whatnot. But how do you think the Eagles will perform this year or this coming year? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I think a lot of it has to do with what they do at quarterback. I think if they draft one of the big 3 receivers with the 6th pick, then and they stick with Hurts, I think they'll be fine. I don't know if Hurts is the answer yet. We haven't seen enough of him, but I think if somehow I know they don't really have the money to do it, but if they bring in a free agent QB, like let's say like I don't know, Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe just someone. I mean, obviously we're not going to get to Sean Watson, but if we bring in free agent that's better than Hurts, save the 6th pick for a receiver. The rest of we have 3rd round pick now. We have an extra 3rd round pick. We have some good picks this year. So fix some other spots. I think the team could be okay. I think they could. I don't think they'll get to the playoffs, but I think 8-8, maybe 9-7, 7-8. It'll be better than this year. Hopefully, it should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they stay healthy too, because I keep forgetting that people like Lane Johnson are coming back, because I mean they were just hurt. They didn't retire. So when they're back in front of the QB, that should help a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the best that they would do is 9-7, and I wouldn't be mad at all if we got a cheap quarterback like Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though he might not necessarily play, but just have like that veteran presence. Even like a Teddy Bridgewater would be pretty cool. I don't know how expensive Teddy would be because he kind of got a big deal with the Panthers a couple years ago, so I don't know how cheap we can actually get him. But I wouldn't be mad if we got like a veteran QB presence like that. But I would be pissed if we drafted a QB at the 6th pick. That's like the last thing I want to do because it's like,
Yeah, and honestly, the way things go, so with the Eagles, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they do that.
honestly, same. That's like the most like Eagle thing to do.
If I think if they don't do that, I think they'll be fine. But if they do, I mean, I think if they draft a QB at 6, then I think that they're pretty much just saying they're scrapping this next year and just like setting up for like 3 years down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would show they don't trust Hurts either because he's obviously a rookie this past year. So
Yeah.
they got rid of if they got someone to replace him already too.
Yeah, that would be so sad. And just the QB situation just mismanaged a crap ton. And yeah, I just think I have a lot of faith in Jalen Hurts to actually do well. And I think he will actually do well. It's just that he needs to prove himself this year. I want to see more tape of him, obviously. But again, as I was listening to the one radio station talking about the Eagles, they were saying like they don't see the Eagles winning like no more than like 3 or 5 games in the next like 2 or 3 seasons just because of like the entire situation. I'm like, you're an Eagles radio station. Can't you have like a little bit more faith in the Eagles or whatnot?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I know what you mean. I think there's going to be a lot of that drama going around just because of how much crap is going on. But like I said, I think they can do fine. I mean, Sanders, Goddard, I think Rager's still going to be good. Greg Ward, Travis Fulgham, like they can score points. They just need to do it more consistently.
I think if they find like the right groove and stuff, they can pop off. I think they're going to do bad, but not like 2-14 or 3-13 bad. I think they're going to like stay in the middle of the pack where I can see them being 5-11 or 6-10 next year, but then rebound after that and get a good season. But I don't think they're going to do like so bad as everyone is predicting.
Right. Yeah. There's just too many good players on the Eagles still. I don't think a 4-11 is going to be. I don't think that's going to happen again. 4-11-1, 4-12. I don't think that's going to happen next year or the next year. Well, maybe definitely not this year unless they do something else crazy.
I mean,
they cut Miles Sanders and Dallas Goedert.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's like again one of the most Eagle thing to do. But like you said, like we still have some of the pieces, not a lot, but we still have some of the pieces from the Super Bowl team. I mean, the offensive line is still elite and probably top like 3, top 5 offensive line in the league if they actually stay healthy and not rely on the 3rd or 4th string. Depending on where Jason Kelce is going to go if he retires. But what do you think about the 2 players that are still on the team but potentially have the chance of leaving, Zach Ertz and then Jason Kelce?
I don't expect Ertz to stay. I mean, I'm a big Ertz fan too. My jersey is a Zach Ertz jersey. I like him a lot, but this year was tough for him because of injuries. Obviously, I don't think the Eagles are. He'll go and play somewhere else. I almost guarantee that. And then, Jason Kelce, I think he's still fit enough to play. It's just, I think the biggest thing it comes down is does he want to deal with the bullshit anymore? Which I think that's a lot of the reason for a lot of these people, for a lot of these players leaving, or if they just do decide to leave, like suddenly, it's because of that, because they don't want to deal with this anymore. Because I'm sure inside the locker room and in the franchise, it's crazy because we don't know everything that's going on.
Yeah,
I would like them both to stay, but I don't. I know for a fact I'm almost positive Ertz is not going to stay.
Yeah, that's going to be the one that stings the most for me. I mean, along with Wentz too, I guess, but Zach Ertz leaving because he's been here since 2012. He's like a fan favorite. He's one of like my favorite Eagles of all time, and he's just been here for so long. it's gonna start to see him go. And I was seeing that the Ertz was being lumped with the Wentz trade as well, but that didn't end up going through. But it's
Hmm.
going to be sad. I don't want the Eagles to cut him straight up because like I feel like we can trade him and get at least something for him. But
Hmm. But I still think he can be good, whether or not that's with the Eagles or someone else. He has value,
yeah.
and you're right. It is sad to see like I was saying, I started following the year before Wentz came in,
Mhm.
and like it just seems like the entire roster is different now
Yeah.
after this year. So it's like not the same Eagles I grew to love. You know what I mean?
We're losing like some of these long tenured Eagles because I don't think Jason Peters is going to be here or shouldn't be here next year because of how old he is and he's just not playing well. But
Mhm.
he's been on the Eagles forever. I mean, Miles Sanders has been on the Eagles for like 2 years, but I wouldn't like call him like a long tenured Eagle yet, quite yet. But like, who do we have? Like, we got what Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and that's like it. I can't think of too many other names. There might be like a few other names that I'm forgetting, but it's just sad because it's like we completely like flipped this entire team upside down, and it's
Right.
I feel like it's a slow rebuild after the Super Bowl because you're seeing these teams like do a completely like 180 where it's like they get rid of everyone really fast, kind of like the Eagles are doing now. But I feel like we've kind of a slow rebuild where we've got rid of a few people and then brought in a couple people to replace them and stuff. It's kind of weird.
Right. Yeah. Not a fan. Not a
Yeah,
fan of it.
I'm not a fan either. This entire situation sucks ass. Kind of wrapping it up here, but how did you become a Jaguars fan?
I was thinking about this too when he sent me the questions.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it really started. I just like the colors. To and I mean it has gotten a lot better. Like the first year, like I'm definitely more of an Eagles fan. But when I first started like following football, the Jags were awful. Then the year the Super Bowl, the Eagles Super Bowl happened. Obviously that was a great year for both teams. Since I've gotten to school and like senior year of high school, and then once I've gotten to college, I've been learning about like the business side of the Jags and like what they do with like the owner and them playing games in London, like all the business aspects of the Jags because they're really unique. So that makes me like them a lot too now, since I actually know a good bit about them. They're obviously awful now.
Yeah.
My two teams had a combined 5 wins last year. I still like them a lot. Yeah, honestly, there was one time I went to a tournament in Tennessee, and I was paired with a guy that was from Jacksonville, and we got to talking about the Jags, and this was like 4 or 5 years ago now. That made me like them a lot more too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really have a good reason for it, but that's why. It's kind of a weird reason.
Yeah. But like I'm the same like with like my second favorite teams are like teams that like I would root for. I like the Saints for a while, but not as much anymore because like how many times we like freaking lost to them in the playoffs. But
Right.
I just like their like color scheme while growing up and stuff. And I just liked him, and I like Drew Brees and his like child when they like won the Super Bowl, and he was like holding up his child and stuff. I would like jump from team to team like that. That's why I was rooting for the Chiefs this year, because mostly from that and just like the experience with Andy Reid and everything. But like I would go from team to team like that, just on certain situations like that. But it fascinates me that you're like learning behind the scenes of like management and how like teams go about managing their like organization.
Yeah, and like speaking of the Jags, still, I think now is a very exciting time to be a Jags fan, just because of obviously bringing in Trevor Lawrence this year, James Robinson. Last year was really good. I think he's exciting. DJ Chark is really exciting. I think their offense is honestly fine. Like I think they have, especially this year when they're bringing Lawrence, I think they'll have a good offense. It's just their defense from 2017 went from being the best like ever,
Yeah.
and now they are the worst ever.
Yeah, that's like such a crazy transition to me, like how teams can like implode in like a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
They like
Jesus.
trade away all their good players.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Calais Campbell, Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very exciting year. The Eagles Super Bowl year,
Yeah.
because it was almost an Eagles Jag Super Bowl, so that would have been
Yeah.
sick.
That would have been so funny because like the Jaguars almost beat the Patriots in the championship, but freaking Brady had one of his Brady like comebacks.
Right. Yeah.
Stupid. I'm just lucky that didn't happen with the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think's gonna have a better year this year, Jags or Eagles?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Jaguars.
I think I think they will too. I thought they'd
Yeah,
have a lot better than a 1-15 season this year
yeah,
though. So who knows?
most
There's something
definitely.
going on there.
I don't know too much about the Jags, but I do like them a lot.
They just need a QB. I think that was their biggest issue. I like Gardner Minshew a lot, but I don't know if he's the best. And then they were going through quarterbacks and they played Mike Glennon for a while this year because of injury. Yeah, they just need to get that position figured out. And I think they'll have a good piece at like every position at least to make the offense really good.
Yeah, I thought it was funny how Nick Foles went from the Eagles and then to the Jags and stuff.
And played like a game, not
Yeah.
even.
But like once I saw that the Jags like signed him to that massive contract, I'm like, that's a mistake. You're not going to have the same Foles that you had in the Super Bowl because like I was a huge Nick Foles fan since we first entered the league as an Eagle like rookie, and he had that one like huge like season. I think he went like 27-2. Everyone was like talking about him. I think that was like 2013 or whatever. And I think that's when I got my Foles jersey. It was either 2013 or 2015. I was a major fan of him. That like following him for that long, I knew like how Foles operated and stuff. And he like goes on these like flings where it's like he's unstoppable. He's like freaking better than Tom Brady. He's like the GOAT. Like like that 1 year 2013 season, like I said, when he won 27-2, where he was godlike, but then the next season he just fell off. And then he went God mode during the Super Bowl run and stuff, and then he fell off again. In which I was like, I was predicted that all along, but like I feel bad for him because like he's such a good player and stuff.
Really good guy. I like him a lot too. I wish he'd be doing more. I wish he'd stay at the Jags, honestly, because I have a Jags jersey too. And it's
Yeah.
a Foles jersey. He played
Oh dang.
like he played a game for the Jags.
Dang. And didn't he end up getting like injured or something too?
It was the first game of the season. Broke his collarbone. He played like half of that game, got hurt, and then I forget if he played a full game when he was healed up. I forget if they even tried playing him because that's when they put in.
Miss you.
Is that? Yeah, Minshew. Yeah, that's when they put Minshew. Yeah, I wish he was still there. I wish he was doing well.
Yeah, me
So
too.
he had some good games in Chicago this year. He had a few of them.
Yeah. He played really well against the Buccaneers and like beat them. That's like the Super Bowl team.
Right, that was really random. The Bears are so weird. It's such a weird team.
Yeah, they like started like super hot. They like started like 5-1 or whatever, and then imploded and ended up like 8-8 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a teammate who's from Illinois, and he's a Bears fan. And when this like trade talk of Wentz possibly going to the Bears happened,
Yeah.
like when I asked him about it, he's like, bro, I'm not going to be a Bears fan if they get Wentz. He's crap. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, he's literally so much better than any quarterback in Chicago right now.
Yeah, he's going to do like 100 times better than Trubisky and a lot better than like Foles.
Right? Yeah. I didn't argue with him. That was enough. I had enough of that conversation.
Yeah, I just once you start, you just can't stop, and it's not even worth explaining to a fan like that.
Right? Yeah. That was ridiculous.
But yeah, my roommate's like that, Trey, and he's always like, he told me that he just does it to get on my nerve mostly, but he's always calling like Wentz a twig, and like he's always saying that Wentz is so bad and stuff, and it just infuriates me every time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I was talking with my cousin, I think Tuesday morning, and we were talking about the Eagles a little bit. And would you consider Nick Foles a Hall of Famer? Because analysis from ESPN says that a Hall of Famer is defined as someone who changed the game of football, and or you can't write like football history without that player. Like for example, Tom Brady, you can't write like football history without Tom Brady, and or like Peyton Manning. So like what do you consider like Nick Foles a
You mean
Hall?
like the official like football Hall of Fame, not like the Eagles like
Yeah,
Wall of Fame or whatever?
yeah, the official Hall of Fame. Because like I mean, it's like on a very thin line, and you technically like
Mm,
can say that like you can't write history without Nick Foles.
see, yeah, that's a tough one. I would say, I mean, technically, I think you would say yes, but in my opinion, no,
Yeah.
because I mean, he wasn't even the starter that year. So like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think the Eagles Super Bowl was a really popular win for like all of the NFL. So I think technically, I mean, I guess yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt he will be,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't mind it, obviously.
Yeah. I think he's definitely an Eagles Hall of Fame,
Hmm.
like on the wall. But I just think it'll be like the interesting. It's just an interesting question because like Eli Manning, he would. I think he would be considered a Hall of Famer, not maybe not first ballot, but it's kind of an interesting question to ask because all of these like old players are starting to retire and stuff. And I agree with you. I don't think Nick Foles is necessarily a Hall of Famer because he was a backup, and I don't think he doesn't have the stats to prove it either. I think if he was a starter and actually like played throughout that entire season and played a few seasons where he had really good stats like he had throughout the playoffs, and I think he would be a Hall of Famer, but I just don't think he is a Hall of Famer.
Right. I haven't heard that question before. That's a new one.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, he probably is almost done with football. So
yeah. I mean, I think he has a couple more good years probably as a backup maybe, but it's starting to dwindle.
mm,
That's
yeah,
yeah.
I
It's kinda
agree.
sad, yeah,
But yeah, he's old, so
yeah. It's just, like,
ish.
oldish, and, it's just, like, all these older players, like, are retiring or about to retire and stuff. Philip Rivers recently retired, um, and other older players that I think are going to retire soon, like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, possibly. I don't know how long Tom Brady is going to play. He's, like, gonna play until, like, he's 50 or something, but it's just kind of an interesting question because I don't think Philip Rivers would be considered a quarterback or a Hall of Famer, but it's just yeah.
But to me, it seems like he's way better than Foles is. So like, how can you
Yeah, that is
consider
true.
Foles a possible Hall of Famer?
Yeah, that is true. But I think the only because Philip Rivers obviously has a lot better stats than Nick Foles, but the thing that Nick Foles has over Philip Rivers is a Super Bowl ring.
Right. That means a lot.
Yeah, and 7 touchdowns in a game as well. Only a handful of players have that.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I never thought about that.
yeah. So, I guess we can wrap up the podcast now. Thank you for coming on and
Yeah,
talking with me about the Eagles
no
and talking
problem.
golf.
Thanks for not firing me up too much.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Yeah, that could have got real ugly.
Yeah, that true. There's a lot of stuff to be fired up about the Eagles and to be mad about. All right.
Right.
See ya, Disgruntled, and thanks for watching.
Yep. See you guys.